Today, I'm gonna throw some fuel on the fire when we talk about pocket clips and the battle that rages between loop over deep ride and high ride standoff pocket clips. Well, folks, excited to be with you today in this video. We're gonna talk about a lot of stuff and particularly shedding some new light and some new perspective, hopefully, for you on the battle and the discussion between deep ride loop over pocket clips and high ride pocket clips on your knives. And my argument is that I actually believe, I used to be a person that was like, give me deep ride loop over every time, no matter what the knife is, give it to me like that. But I'm actually shifting away from that, and I believe that depending on the use and design of the knife and how it was designed to be used, that actually loop over deep ride pocket clips can sometimes be a hindrance to a pocket knife depending on how you're using it and what environment it's designed to be used in. And so I'm gonna make that argument today. I look forward to hearing your guys' thoughts. If I'm just high as a kite and you're like, dude, you're smoking some of that, you know, Colorado green grass, man, or if there are validity and valid points that I'm going to bring up to you today. Plus, I'll point out some great stuff that I love, some pocket clips that really connect with me, and just have a fun discussion. So let's go ahead and hit really the elephant in the room first, the 800-pound gorilla of the deep ride pocket clip and that idea versus a high ride pocket clip that's going to give you a lot of extra knife sticking out of the pocket versus one that's really hidden, slim, and literally all you see is the pocket clip. What are the benefits to each, and why do some knives benefit from not having a deep ride pocket clip? All right, so to get us going, what just makes a deep ride pocket clip so appealing? Why, for years, was I just harping on the fact of every single pocket knife needs to have a deep ride loop over style pocket clip? And just for some reference points here, we got House of Blades exclusive S35VN Kershaw link. We got a SOG Spec Elite 1 loop over. We've got a rake P865, and we got Slim Light in the Buck 112 Slim series. So we got all of these here that we're looking at, all deep ride loop over pocket clips. And obviously, as we can see here, what makes it so appealing is that it disappears in your pocket. All that you see when you're walking down the street or someone looks at your, pants, you're talking to a coworker, is this little tiny metal loop, usually, unless you're Buck and you decide to make it obnoxious with your 112. And we'll get to all those type of gripes and stuff in a little bit. But, and it's really unobtrusive. You could almost wonder if, like, is that a pen? What's in that pocket? And it makes the pocket knife disappear and is really an unobtrusive way to carry your pocket knife. Plus, there's less likelihood of you maybe losing the knife. It's gonna be deep buried into your pocket so that when you're sitting down, getting up, there's lots of movement going around. It's less likely to fall out of your pocket. There's a lot more of the knife in your pocket before it would have to travel out and fall out and you'll lose your precious knife that you love, regardless if you paid $20 or $120 or $520 for it. Each one of us, depending on our price points, value, I believe, pocket knives, and you're watching this video because you care about your pocket knives. So that's what makes loop over pocket clips so appealing to most people, that we go, man, give me a loop over pocket clip. And so, like many of you, when you see a pocket knife that has a high ride, like these that we have here, we have a Gerber downrange auto, we have the Cold Steel Bush Ranger in S35VN, we have a Kershaw Emerson Launch 5 auto, I believe, and then we have an Emerson CQC 7 here. When you see these, you get irritated. You're like, oh man, why just give me a loop over like the ones that we just looked at? Why do these have to be sticking up so high? Well, as time has gone on, as I have used more products and as I have gotten out in the outdoors and just done different things, I'm beginning to realize that these knives that I just showed you actually benefit from not having deep ride loop over pocket clips for this reason. Deep ride loop over pocket clips suck when you are trying to access your pocket knife and you have gloves on, or you're in a high stress situation. particularly if you are thinking that you're going to be using your pocket knife a lot in the outdoors, which you would have a tendency to wear gloves, leather gloves, a lot more. Like these guys right here are cold weather conditions. These are actually slightly insulated, and you're out in the outdoors in cold weather, so you don't really want to have your bare hands exposed a lot of the time, but you want access to your pocket knife. Or the idea of the pocket knife is as a last-ditch self-defense tool, and you're wanting to grab it quickly in a very high-stress situation. Having a loop-over deep ride makes it much more difficult than having a standoff high-ride pocket clip on the knife. So I've only discovered this through trial and error, through usage when we go out hiking, backpacking, camping, cold weather. You know, it's 10 degrees out. We've done many treks over the years when it's maybe 20, 10 degrees. You want your gloves on all the time, and you've got some loop over deep ride pocket clip on your knife, and you're going for your pocket knife. You're jamming in there, and it's really difficult. And then, you know, you're like just working like crazy to try and get it out, and takes forever, and it's kind of a nuisance. Or you're taking your glove off to get your knife out and then putting your glove back on, back and forth, gets really tedious. Or you're just doing a lot of hard work with maybe power tools, heavy duty tools, lots of wood, and you just want that hand protection. Or you are carrying it in that more last ditch, you know, tool scenario that you need to grab it super quick. If it's a deep ride loop over, and oftentimes with low traction, good luck trying to get that out in a very quick, fast way, unless you do hours and hours of practice. Versus if it's a standoff high ride, there's a lot more exposed, so that with gloves of different thicknesses, it's easy to grab, pinch, pull out. If you are in that stress level environment, you can grab it and whip it out real fast, and it's not as much of an issue. So I'm discovering for myself, folks, that depending on how the tool is designed, don't get me wrong, I still love my deep ride loop overs, but that's more for around town. That's more for EDC, going out to dinner, enjoying a night out with the family, you know, whatever it may be, running over the grocery store, versus when I am out in the outdoors, maybe I'm at the range, you know, whatever it may be. I want something that has a higher ride, more exposed handle, so that I can grab it quicker in a stressful situation, or without having to constantly take my gloves on and off. So just to give you a few examples of the ones I was just showing you, here is the Bush Ranger. I mean, the name, it's in the name. Bush, going out into the bush, backcountry. It's definitely designed with more of an outdoor, tactical, if you will, feel to it in its design, in its weight, in its handle size, all of it. And so, though, yes, around town, I would prefer a deep ride loop over carry, for the way that this knife is intended to be used, it makes sense to have a high ride standoff pocket clip, so that when I am out in the wilderness, and I do have gloves on, or I just want quicker access to it, that it gives me that capability. Or the Gerber downrange. You know, obviously a Tanto G10 blocked out, you know, quote unquote tactical folder pocket knife. I mean, designed to really with military and law enforcement in mind. Yes, if I was carrying this around town, would I prefer a deep ride loop over? Absolutely. But in the way it's designed, you want to be able to grab this in a high stress situation very quickly. And with that little extra sticking out the top, it makes it much more accessible if you do have gloves on, or if you are just really stressed out, instead of reaching and digging around your pocket trying to find your knife to pull it out really quickly. Same with this Emerson Kershaw Auto, same idea of being more of a heavy duty tactical, you know, folder, deep cut in, heavy traction, with that in mind, so that they're giving you a little bit more of a standoff there, a little bit higher ride, so that you can pinch it quickly, pull it out, and deploy the tool faster than if it was a deep ride loop over. And then finally, Emerson knives, as you know, all designed mostly as fighting tools. Originally is what the designer and the owner thought of. With that in mind, even though this model is the most EDCable of, or one of the most EDCable of their entire line, it still has that idea in mind of quick, fast deployment with the wave feature, and then having that standoff. It makes sense for the way it was intended to be used and how the designer wanted it to be deployed. Whereas all of these are light duty, slim, EDC tools that I really wouldn't be taking very often into the outdoors. There's always exceptions to the rule, maybe a little crossover, but for the most part, these aren't heavy duty, quote unquote, tactical folders or outdoor folders designed for camping and backpacking or those type of things. They're designed definitely more for general utility around town, around the office. But that's honestly, folks, what I wanted to hit with you in this topic, and there are, again, exceptions to every rule, but to really give you some food for thought in that concept of, is that particular knife, that particular tool, best suited for a deep ride loop over, or would have been nicer, and is it better to have a high ride standoff depending on how the knife was either intended to be carried or you want to carry it. So for me personally, when I'm carrying a knife around town for EDC, I love the deep ride loop over. But if I'm going outdoors or I'm looking at it as more of a self-defense tool, I want high ride standoff features. So now I'm looking forward to hearing from you guys. Do you agree, disagree? Where am I maybe going wrong? Or are there areas where you see the same results that I am seeing in overall usage of your pocket knife? And so with that moment of truth, after all of this, you're like, all right, if Aaron, you were designing your own pocket knife, what would be the pocket clip of choice to be the best of every world? Shabwap! The Spyderco paperclip pocket knife clip. Man, oh my gosh, do I love this. And it is one of the best executed on the Manix lightweight, Manix 2 lightweight. This is the Maximate. No guys, I have not had to resharpen it past a little ceramic tuning one time. I've had this, I think, for a year. Matt, shout out to you, buddy. Thanks so much for the blade that I picked up from you. This is why I love this. Great transitions, no hot spots. Looks like a pocket clip in your pocket when you're carrying it. In the way that this has been executed, we have just about ½ an inch sticking up. So there's enough that if I have gloves on, I can actually still pinch it and pull it out rather quickly. In a high stress, it's more likely that I'll be able to pull it out, but it's not so high like some of the ones we've been talking about that it gets obnoxious and weird and silly. It's like the best of every world to me is the Spyderco paperclip pocket clip, and that is the one that I would choose if I was making a pocket knife. And you said, hey, out of all the pocket knife clip designs out there on the market, you choose what do you want? I'm gonna say this exact layout like this. Best of every world, slim, lightweight, disappears in the pocket, just enough out of the pocket that you could deploy it with gloves or in high stress, but not so high that it gets obnoxious. So guys, that's me. Well, folks, there you have it. I hope you've enjoyed this video, giving you some food for thought. That's just what I'm wanting to do with this particular video, is giving you some concepts, ideas, maybe help you rethink some of the desires or interest in pocket knives depending on their pocket clips and how they are designed and how you're supposed to deploy them, or how the knives were intended to be deployed in the first place. So thank you so much. Looking forward to reading all the comments and just hearing the conversation that we'll have through this video, and loving always to hear you guys' thoughts. Don't forget about the mailbag as well. If you want your questions answered in an upcoming video, put #mailbag and I'll answer those on our Saturday special. We do that every Saturday. It's a good time, a lot of fun. Check us out on Instagram, Facebook, all the social media. If you're not a current subscriber, I invite you to subscribe and become part of the GT family. Throwing up videos like this every single week. If you are a current subscriber, make sure you hit that bell icon so that next to the subscription button, so that the videos show up in your news feed. And finally, guys, always remember, stay equipped, stay prepared, and we'll see you out there.